Hello, everyone. My name is Hilary Gamble, and this is my Comparative Cultural Biography and Advocacy Project presentation. So, just a summary of the participant. The individual I decided to ask to participate in the interview process of this project was a coworker of mine. Throughout the project and my papers, I refer to him as JC. And JC is a male, African American, and his sexual orientation is gay. He is 24 years old, and we both work for an AmeriCorps program called Cradle Beach Project SOAR as academic support specialists. We mentor about 20 to 25 students and work with teachers as assistants. JC was kind enough to answer many questions regarding race, class, gender, bias, stereotypes, and he really allowed me to get into his personal life. Doing so allowed me to learn so much about himself and myself as well through the interview process. And the things that I learned about myself, I feel that I'm able to take into my classroom to make it a more safe environment, and also just be aware of the different um, biases that I bring to my classroom as well. So after interviewing and completing the parts A and B of our project, I really learned about myself in terms of what types of stereotypes I might bring into the classroom and how I need to be aware of how I teach and what I teach so that I'm not bringing too many of my own opinions in a negative way to the classroom. Um, I really, I really enjoyed reading the diverse um, literature throughout the course as well. I've been exposed to texts that will definitely be used in my future classroom, and the unit plan activities really allowed me to dig deep and think about ways in which I can incorporate multicultural literature in a creative and interesting way that would engage all students. One of the things that I really focused on in our unit plan was also accommodating different types of students um, through the activities. One of the most important things I think I took away from the course is to not be afraid to present diverse texts and have those conversations that may seem controversial to others. The Native American experience and also being Black in America were two of my favorite weeks in the course. It really taught me that the omission of truth and absence of representation can really have a lasting effect on our students. So, going back to the interview portion of the project, the individual that I interviewed was born and currently resides in Buffalo, New York. It was very interesting to learn about how living in this area can influence individuals in very unique ways. The interview went a lot better than I actually expected it to because JC was very open to giving detailed answers. In a way, I related this to working with my future students. I created a space and environment before the interview which allowed him to comfortably open up. In order to really get the best out of the interview, I had to allow myself to think about what it would be like to be in his shoes. Sometimes, in order for us as educators to understand our students and understand how to reach them, we must also take the time to understand their backgrounds and the trauma that they may have endured and bring to the classroom as well. Through a comparative analysis in part B of the project, I definitely learned more about myself and my cultural views. One of the questions I asked during the interview was whether or not JC believed that there was a correlation between speaking slang and intelligence. His answer was definitely very similar to mine, and I learned that speaking other languages and speaking slang can also allow us to sometimes reach individuals whom we wouldn't reach normally. It's so funny to me when I explain something to a student and I use a slang word that they don't think that I know, and it helps them to understand. Then they, of course, say, Miss Deloria, did you really think you were trying to be cool? And that kind of helps us to build a bond with that student as well. In a way, I believe we can do this through literature as well. When we present a text they wouldn't normally read, and they engage with it and they enjoy it, and it's something that they wouldn't normally read. So they actually like it, and that helps to build a creative space for them to learn about um, different texts and multicultural literature. Another huge takeaway I took from this project And what I learned was also just how much my childhood played a part in how I function in society as an adult. A lot of the literature and the things that I was taught as a child ran over into how I act as an adult as well. And that definitely made me more aware that the types of literature our children are exposed to will also play a huge part for them. By allowing students to read diverse texts and creating an environment where students are able to discuss those topics, they are able to be more aware of the diversity around them as well. Another huge takeaway from the interview, which I also connected to the gender and LGBTQ unit, was the experience described he had in terms of coming out to his family and friends. He described this time as a key moment or turning point in his life. However, as he described it, it was also a very lonely and isolated part as well. I connected this back to the gender and LGBTQ unit because I feel as though had JC and his peers read literature which reflected aspects of his identity, his experience might have been much different. His peers around him may have been more compassionate and understanding about his choices. Overall, this course has definitely taught me a great deal about multicultural literature that I can include in my future classroom, but it's also taught me and allowed me to be more aware of the things about myself. I can't wait to take the things that I've learned into the classroom and create units and lessons which I can incorporate using the knowledge that I learned from this course. So that includes my presentation, and thank you very much for listening.